embarrassment. That's the one word I have for the Texans' Week 1 game up against the LA Rams. You had no business being in this game. The Rams outplayed you in all 3 phases, but somehow you found your way with a chance, 2 minutes left to win the ball game, and the Texans can't get it done. I'm not blaming this game on Dario Gumbawale fumbling there on that last drive, but it was just indicative of the entire Texans game day. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back every single time, and it was one of the most frustrating watches that I've had as a Texans fan since the Ravens game last year on Christmas. And we all know how bad that game was for this Texans squad. It was not pretty. A 14-9 loss is not pretty. CJ Stroud, 19 of 27, 188 yards, 0 touchdowns. Could have had 2 picks, only had 1. Stafford on the other side, dealing with a bad back, close to 40 years old, went 21 for 29, 245 yards and a tutty. Nick Chubb, the lead back, 13 carries, 60 yards. Kyron Williams, 18 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown. Puka Nacua was shredding, absolutely shredding this defense. So coming up, I have my top 5 takeaways from this Texans loss in Week 1. But if you want to be informed, if you want to know everything going on around the Houston Texans, hit that subscribe button. For good, bad, in today's case, the worst, I still got you covered with the latest going on around your Houston Texans. 100% free, so go down and hit that subscribe button. All right, let's get into my top 5 takeaways for this game. And like I said, not a pretty one. Not a pretty game whatsoever for this Texans squad. They were leading at halftime. What was it? They were leading at halftime 9-7. And they did not score another point for the rest of the game. And that leads me to my very first point in my takeaways. The offense is not fixed. And it's not close to being fixed. We all thought Nick Caley coming over from the Rams. He was on the Rams coaching staff last year with Sean McVay. We thought, oh, he might come over and fix this offense. He might come over and bring some of those elements that we've seen over with the Rams, and maybe with this time with the Patriots, to kind of incorporate that with the Texans. It was not pretty for this Texans offense. When you put up 9 points, it's not a win for the offense. Very few games are you going to play where you can score 9 points and win a ball game. CJ Stroud, up and down. A very roller coaster day. 19 of 27, 188 yards. As I said earlier, could have had 2 interceptions. And was sacked multiple times. Was behind the sticks multiple times. And that's exactly where we were last year, right? Like, it's not like this offense took a massive step. They looked okay at some points, but overall, this offense was just You didn't get your best guy the ball in Nico Collins. And Nick Chubb, 13 carries, 60 yards. He averaged 4.6 yards a carry. Not too shabby. But you also brought in other guys to run the ball, and they didn't really do anything. Nico Collins, who I say is a top 5 wide receiver in this league. You're telling me your top guy, your top target gets 3 catches for 25 yards? That's not going to do it. That's not going to do it in this league against 31 other teams if your best receiver is getting 3 receptions for 25 yards. Nick Caley needs to figure it out. D'Amico Ryans needs to figure it out in what is going on with this Texans offense. Because Jaden Higgins being your leading receiver at 2 receptions for 32 yards, and also one of the balls that went to him ended up getting picked. Not good. Not good whatsoever by this Texans team. My second point, my second takeaway, I guess, coming up in just a moment. But I want to hear from you folks at home. What is your one-word reaction to the Texans versus Rams Week 1 game? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get with the YouTube ad break, all good. Scroll on down and let me know. What was your one-word reaction to this game? I gave you mine at the top of the show. It was embarrassment. I was embarrassed to watch this team, and it did look like the Rams played better in every single point of this game. I mean, you got some lucky breaks your way, but at the end of the day, the stupid penalties haunted the Texans once again. And that was the one thing from last year on this offense that we were like, if you ask every single Texans fan, what's the one thing last year that pissed you off the most that needs to get fixed this year? Penalties. D'Amico Ryans he went at it as soon as he, got into his press conference, said the penalties are inexcusable. Well, duh. They're inexcusable. They're holding us back and they're making us lose damn ball games. You can't have a good offensive drive when you have 1st and 20, 1st and 15, 2nd and 20, 2nd and 15. Big plays being negated by penalties. It is an absolute just max frustration as a Texans fan watching this offense. And as I mentioned, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Every single time you're driving the ball down the field, and then, of course, you get a fumble. You're driving the ball at one point, and then you get sacked. You're driving the ball, and then you get another penalty. It is just like want to rip your hair out frustrating. I have 3 more takeaways from this Texans versus Rams Week 1 matchup. But today's show is brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. Get started today with America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. PrizePicks, it's simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you can cash in to win 2,000 times your money because you and I make decisions every day. But on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss out on any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Whatever sport you like. You like football, baseball, basketball, even tennis. They got it all over on PrizePicks today. So get started with them. You can see I had a lineup today for PrizePicks, and obviously I was, only got 2 of them right. But PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. So since I only got 1 of mine wrong, I was still able to double my money over there on PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. I mentioned it earlier with Nick Chubb. I thought the run game looked slightly better in terms of the run blocking, but it was just marginally better. Like, it didn't wow me what the Texans were doing, and a lot of the times they weren't even able to set up in running situations because they were behind the sticks because of the penalties. But 13 carries for 60 yards, 4.6 yards per carry for Nick Chubb is pretty damn good for a guy that a lot of people were saying was washed, was out of it. That last drive, I don't know what ended up to why they took him out and they put in Dare Ogunbowale. But I thought Nick Chubb was kind of cooking towards the end of the game. And that's what you want in a power back like Nick Chubb. You want him to wear the defense down, and by the time it gets to the 4th quarter, they don't want to tackle this guy. And that's kind of what it looked like. But the team went with Ogunbowale, and I'm not saying that, he's unplayable or you can't play him in that situation. But you like to have your best players out there with the game on the line. And you're telling me Ogunbowale is your best running back right now? I don't see it. Let's go to the defense now. Secondary got burned. And I don't know if Stingley, he got a hip injury at the beginning of the game. I don't know if that hindered his ability to cover later in the game. But I've been going up and down my office saying top 2 DB in the league, top 2 cornerback in the league. Him and Pat Surtain. He didn't play like it today. He was getting burned left and right by Devontae Adams. Did not look good. And more so than him, you know who I thought didn't look good? Kamari Lassiter. 5 solo tackles. It's because he was getting kind of burned by Puka Nacua. Puka was having his way with this defense. Over 100 yards for the Rams wide receiver 1. And that's with him missing maybe a half quarter, maybe a quarter of action because he had a concussion protocol, came back in, then had to go back into protocol. He absolutely destroyed this Texans defensive back unit. They let a simple play action, an easy touchdown in the corner to the Rams tight end, Davis Allen. I'm picking straws here because, like I said, when your defense allows 14 points, in most teams that should be good. Good enough to get a W. Not for the Texans today. And that goes along with my last point. You got beaten every phase. I thought the Rams, their special teams unit, better than yours today. Their punting was fantastic. I thought Their defense played better than your defense did today. And their offense played better than your offense today. So on every single phase of the ball, you lost, which is what the scoreboard shows. Your defense only allowed 14 points. Your offense only scored 9 points, all in the first half. All in the first half. It was just a pitiful performance all around. So I'm going to ask you folks right now, are you more concerned about the offense or the defense? Because the defense, there was definitely some holes in it. The offense, they worried me as well. Let me know down in the comment section which one you're more concerned about. For me, it's the offense. The offense still, you let up 14 points, and I know there were some bad plays, but at the end of the day, this defense, Azeez Al-Shire with that massive punch out at the end of the game, you gave your offense a chance. And that's all you're asking if you're this Texans offense. Give us a chance to win the game. You got it. And you didn't come through. And the sad part is that this Texans played a D game, a D-plus game. They lost by 5 to a team that took the Super Bowl champions Philadelphia Eagles to the wire last year in the NFC playoffs. You lost by 5 when you played a D game. That gives me hope moving forward. I know this is a big video of doom and gloom, but if you take anything away from this video, it's that the Texans played one of their worst games that I've seen in a while, and they lost by 5. So we pick our heads up, we watch some film, and we figure it out next week. Now, this team still plays in the AFC South, and I still believe they are the best team in the AFC South. DeMeco Ryans, this team needs to look in the mirror and say, hey, how do we step on the field next Monday night up against the Bucs and show our fan base that team that we saw in week 1, that's not the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, we all know what they can be if they play at their best. In week 1, that was just not it.